I will never forget the morning Giancarlo Stanton was traded to the Yankees. It was one of the scarier mornings of my life, realizing how powerful it now made the Yankees. I mean, Aaron Judge, a 6'7", 280-pound monster, just got done hitting the most home runs ever for a rookie at the time, and the Yankees were now adding a 6'6", 250-pound monster who just got done hitting 59 homers and winning the National League MVP in the process. The Yankees basically now had two Aaron Judges, or two Giancarlo Stantons, however you want to put it. Just ridiculous stuff. And 2018 was going to be the start of something special in the Bronx. Stanton started off his Yankee career terribly, actually, as it didn't take long for him to start getting booed at Yankee Stadium, but he eventually got it going and had a nice 2018 season overall. Not quite as nice as 2017, obviously, but still really good. Almost 40 homers, 100 RBIs. He was good, but most notably, Stanton played almost every game for the Yankees in 2018. It may not have seemed like a big deal at the time, but skip ahead 5 years into the future, and man, if only we could all tell Yankees fans in 2018 to enjoy seeing Stanton in the lineup every night, because they sure ain't gonna see that ever again. And even his own team is publicly talking down on his ability to stay on the field. Really quick, I'm trying to get to 140,000 subscribers before 2024, so if you enjoy the content and haven't hit that button yet, consider doing so. Thank you. It's not like 2018 was anything special and out of the ordinary for Stanton as far as him playing almost every game for his team, playing 158 that year. In 2017, his MVP year in Miami, he played 159 games, playing the exact same amount in 2016. 2015, he had some injury issues, but overall, throughout his Marlins career leading up to the Yankees trade, Stanton was for the vast majority of the time reliable to stay on the field. Hell, even in 2014, he played 145 games, with the only reason he didn't likely play all 162 games being because he was hit in the face by a fastball from Mike Fiers, something that was pretty serious and resulted in facial and dental damage. It was bad. Even with his season having to end in mid-September because of that, he still finished top 2 in MVP voting behind Clayton Kershaw. In 2011, his second season in the big leagues, Stanton played 150 games. I mean, you get the point by now. Unless some freak accident happened, Stanton was typically someone you can just assume would be penciled in every night into the lineup, and that continued as a Yankee for a single year. In 2019, Stanton's second season in New York, he played just 19 games. 19. That's it. And he dealt with injury stuff from the beginning. On April 1st, he had a left bicep strain, got a cortisone injection a few weeks later in his left shoulder for something else, finally came back in June just to hit the injured list a week later because of a knee injury, and that was it for his regular season. He did play 5 games in the postseason, 3 ALDS games, and also played in Game 1 and 5 of the ALCS, so Stanton was able to get a front row dugout seat for Jose Altuve's home run in Game 6. That's pretty cool. Stanton actually was responsible for the first home run of the delayed pandemic-plagued 2020 season, and that was pretty much it for that year, as he'd end up having a hamstring injury that would limit his regular season to just 23 games. He did hit a grand slam in the one playoff game he played in that year, but that was it, and the Yanks went one and done. As far as 2021, though, Stanton actually played a majority of the games and put up really good numbers, so it was kind of like 2018 again. Of course, a great sign, as he connected for 35 bombs in 139 games, almost 100 RBIs. He was really good. He hit 31 more homers in 2022, but unfortunately, that's all he did offensively. He didn't provide much else than the power, as his other numbers were all down, and his number of games went down too. Not terribly, but he still missed more than 50 games because of right ankle inflammation and left Achilles tendonitis. Then comes 2023, this latest season, and Stanton's amount of games went even further down again. He missed over 60 games, and his numbers just flat out sucked this time around. 24 home runs in only about 100 games is pretty good, but he hit under 200, and I'm not talking about a Kyle Schwarber type year hitting under 200. In 2023, Kyle Schwarber's batting average was 197, but he also missed just only 2 games the entire year, so way more reliable than Stanton to just at least be there. But he was also way above average of a hitter, because although he struck out like a mofo, literally the most strikeouts in baseball this past year, he also hit 47 home runs, drove in over 100 runs, and still actually had a decent on-base percentage because he walked a ton. Very interesting year for Schwarber, but I just wanted to use him as a comparison because he was able to be a very productive bat and overall player for the Phillies despite the terrible batting average. whereas it was the opposite for Stanton. So Stanton hit under 200, but unlike Schwarber, he missed a ton of games, could not stay healthy, and was just an overall unproductive hitter. His OPS was bad. His OPS plus was 87, with 100 being league average. So in other words, he was of course a well below average hitter. His wins above replacement, which is one number that tells you how many wins a player was worth to a team, was negative. So Stan missed over 60 games because of a grade 2 hamstring strain, and when he was able to make it to the game, he brought negative value to the Yankees. From Stan's first year in the big leagues in 2010 through his first year as a Yankee in 2018, he averaged 127 games per season. Since the start of 2019, he has averaged 78 games per season. Giancarlo Stanton has and continues to be someone with the capability of being the scariest hitter in baseball. To this day, despite the constant injury issues and struggles on the field and at the plate, Stanton can still hit the ball harder than anyone, can still hit the ball farther than anyone. I mean, the dude is a monster. But unfortunately, you can't just ignore the constant injury issues and more recent struggles at the plate. Because as he continues to miss more time and play poorly, the more money that goes down the drain for the Yankees, as they have to pay him what originally was the largest contract in sports history given to him by the Marlins. Which, now that I say it, seems insane. In 2014, Stanton signed what at the time was the biggest contract in North American sports, and it was via the Marlins. Just let that sink in for a second. It's not really that important or vital to anything I'm talking about here. It's just wild to think that the Marlins of all sports teams in America were responsible for the biggest contract ever in America for a moment. Anyway, Stanton is still under contract through 2027 with a club option for 2028. That is a guaranteed $118 million still left on the books that the Yankees have to pay Stanton, who's 33 years old and dealing with injuries every year. And at this point, the Yankees general manager Brian Cashman isn't even trying to hide his thoughts or act like he and the team have faith that he can stay healthy. When talking about Stanton recently, Cashman had this to say, quote, "We've got to get Stanton up and running again. He's injury prone. We all have lived and known that. But he's never not hit when he's playing, and this year is the first time that that's happened. We tried to limit the time he's down." And this is where Cashman decided to just straight up insult Stanton, whether he meant for it to come across that way or not. Quote, "But I'm not going to tell you he's going to play every game next year because he's not. He is going to wind up getting hurt again more likely than not because it seems to be part of his game. But I know that when he's right and healthy, other than this past year, the guy's a great hitter and has been for a long time." End quote. Wow. He's going to wind up getting hurt again more likely than not because it seems to be part of his game. Holy crap, talk about just ripping off the band-aid. And honestly, it's not like Cashman is wrong here. He obviously, just like all of us, knows that Stanton will likely be on and off the injured list next year, as he has been for a while now, in the last 4 years, really. But to outright say it, doubting his own player and calling it a part of his game is wild. I love honesty and transparency, but there is no way Stanton saw this quote from his general manager and was happy about it. No shot. And to add on to all of this, Stanton's former Yankee and Marlin teammate actually decided to respond to a tweet claiming that Stanton wants to finish his career in pinstripes. Cameron Maybin is the former player and teammate, and he didn't straight up claim Stanton wants out, but he did hint that Stanton isn't necessarily jumping up and down about the idea of continuing to be a Yankee until retirement. You know, I agree with everything you said except the big G part, and I'll leave it there. I'm not putting words in his mouth, but not so sure he wants to finish his career in the pinstripes. I'm sure he'd like to finish somewhere that actually appreciates how he's handled every second of being in NYC. So this is interesting. Seems like Stanton is already open to playing elsewhere. And then Brian Cashman comes out and basically says he has no faith in his own player staying healthy and reliable moving forward. The writing is just on the wall at this point. Where do we go from here? I don't know. But again, for Cashman to just publicly insult his own player, even if it's a valid insult, is wild. Stanton still has the potential to be a menace any given year, but it seems incredibly hit or miss at this point. I mean, it is incredibly hit or miss at this point, with more often a miss. There's still a ton of money left to be given to Giancarlo, and it's just a tough situation all around, especially for the Yankees, as they've committed to him and will continue to have to, at least financially. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.